Hello and welcome to the webinar where we are going to discuss about the change PMP exam will go through after November 1st, 2015. I am Bhaskar Chaudhary, where I'll run you through the changes that PMP exam are going through from November 1st onwards. So many questions come in our mind when PMP goes for a change, and some of those questions would be relevant to like why is PMP changing, what resulted to the change in PMP exam, what has been updated, how it is going to impact the PMP exam, and so on. So this is the main agenda of this webinar where the changes happening in PMP exam after November 1st are explained. The areas we'll cover are why PMP is changing, what led to the change of PMP exam, that is what is role delineation study, what all changes are made, and the date from which changes will get effective. So, first of all, you all may be wondering why PMP exam is changing. Well, there are two main reasons why PMP exam is changing. The first reason, project management profession and the role of a project manager continues to evolve over time. The role and responsibilities of the project manager has changed as compared to what it was 10 to 15 years back. And this will keep on changing as we move forward because project management is becoming more and more important for an organizational success. Organizations are putting more and more importance on project management when it comes to being competitive in this complex environment. So, in order to stay relevant, the PMP must reflect the current practice of those leading and directing projects. This evolution of project management and the role of project manager necessitates a change to the exam itself to ensure that the PMP certification is up to date and pertinent to what is currently happening in the profession. So, the way in which PMI updates its certification, in this case PMP certification, is through a research effort. And the research effort is known as Role Delineation Study, or we commonly have seen the term RDS. And every 3 to 5 years, PMI performs an RDS, a Role Delineation Study, on each of its certification in order to provide valid, relevant, and reliable results. So, what exactly is an RDS? What does RDS do? What it has done to PMP certification? So, well, RDS is a research study where a particular role, in this case, we are talking about PMP certification, so we'll take the role of a project manager. So, the role of a project manager in RDS is examined. In this process, PMI basically works with subject matter experts across the globe and a group of volunteers who are generally PMP certified and who have been in the project management profession from a quite long time. They are experts in project management. They serve as members of a steering committee and task force team. This group basically helps PMI evaluate the role of a project manager and helps PMI to distill it down to key competency areas of the project manager. These competency areas basically include essential domains of practice, tasks performed by a project manager in their day to day project management job, and the knowledge and skills a project manager should have and is required for him to successfully perform his role of a project management. So, the work of the steering committee and the task force team is then validated by a larger project management industry experts through a survey. PMI has around more than 1,000 plus, if I say, of fellow project management professionals and PMPs from across the globe who does the review of the analysis and verify that the survey that has been made is accurate and reflective to the role of a project manager. Then what happens after that? Once all the research, analysis, survey, and verification is done, All of these research is finally compiled into the exam content outline. In this case, the PMP exam content outline, which we, in layman's terms, sometimes we call them as blueprint, PMP exam blueprint. And it is the ultimate output of this research and is shared to all relevant users of this certification. Now, you might be wondering what exactly is this PMP exam content outline, or what is the PMP exam blueprint? Many of you might have seen it, many of you might have referred to it while you were preparing for the PMP exam. Many of you might be referring to it as you are preparing for the PMP exam. But what does it exactly contain? Well, the exam content outline, as I said, is the blueprint of the PMP exam. Each and every question that you get in the exam, in this case the PMP exam, is tied with any of the domains, tasks, knowledge areas, or skills listed in this document. So it consists, it also consists of the weightage. You'll have a breakdown of the questions that will come from each of the domains. In PMP, when we talk about domains, there are 5 domains, that is initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, controlling, and closing. So it talks about the percentage distribution across these domains. So the new content outline has a weightage distribution across 5 domains, which you can see on your screen, where initiating would take up to 13%, planning will take up to 24%, executing will take up to 31%, monitoring and controlling will take up to 25%, closing 7%. Totally they comprise of the entire 100%. So this is the weightage distribution across 5 domains in the new exam outline, and this weightage will be applicable from the exam that will be conducted from November 2nd onwards. That is any exam after November 1st, 2015. So apart from the weightage, yes, there has been some shift in this weightage. We'll discuss about what shifts have been made, what changes have been made than the current one. Apart from the weightage that we see on screen, the exam content outline also includes the tasks that each of these domains consist. Each of the domains initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, controlling, closing will have certain tasks, and questions will be around these tasks. And apart from the tasks, each of these domains also consists of certain knowledge and skills that a project manager should have to perform his job effectively and successfully. So, this is a brief of what exactly is the exam content outline. So, basically, any topic listed in the exam, any question that you see in the PMP exam is associated with the topics associated in this exam content outline. Exam content outline is basically the resource that will help you to prepare for your PMP exam by identifying the focus areas. Now, you might be wondering then what update has been made. So let us see what updates have happened in this exam content outline, or what all updates have been made and what all will be the changes from November 2nd onwards. That is any PMP exam after November 1st. So now we'll go into more detail about what has been updated as a result of the Role Delineation Study Survey 2015 update. This is the most recent RDS update, and it has revealed that the role of a project manager has experienced some changes over the past few years. These changes can be seen through modification made in some of the existing tasks. So one of the major change that has happened in the recent updated exam outline is modification of the existing task. And if you compare the new exam content outline, uh, which is dated as June 2015, to the prior, which we are currently referring for all the PMP exam, and we will continue to refer till November 1st, 2015 exam, and the dated of that is August 2011. You will see some modifications have been done with the terminologies, with the language of many tasks across the various domains, that is initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, controlling, and closing. Overall, the essence of these tasks remain the same, but there are minor changes when it comes to language. So some language terminologies have been updated in the tasks across all the 5 domains. A few tasks are also dropped from the prior version or the version that we are currently referring from the exam content outline. So since the tasks have been dropped, this means that there will be no longer questions in the PMP exam that relates to those topics that have been dropped. So yes, anybody who is going for the PMP exam after November 2nd should refer to the updated exam outline. Anybody who is going for the exam on or before November 1st should refer to the current exam outline, the date of which is 2011 August, and the updated exam outline dated is June 2015. So modification of existing tasks and removal of few tasks have is one of the major changes is a couple of the major changes that have been made after this RDS survey. Another change that has been made is the weightage distribution across the domains. Though the domain areas, if you see, remains the same, initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, controlling, and closing, but the weightage of the questions have been modified. And the weightage have been modified in executing and closing. Executing will now have 31% of the question, which typically I can say 62 questions, and closing will have 7%, which is 14 questions. 1% have been increased in executing and 1% have been reduced from closing. This is a change that has happened in the weightage distribution. So now you can expect few more questions from executing and fewer questions from closing. Again, the reason being the survey has identified that a project manager's involvement at the execution stage to ensure that the deliverables are created as per the specifications, stakeholders are engaged properly, procurements are done properly, and you meet the specifications as per the requirements is more and more important. So that's why executing has been increased and closing has been reduced a little. But the major change that will get affected from the exam after November 1st is the addition of 8 new tasks across the domains. And these tasks will be new topics which will be part of the new exam that will go live, as I said, after November 1st. So let us see what all tasks have been added. And if you see the screen, in initiating, 3 tasks are added: task 2, task 7, task 8. In planning, task 13 is added. In executing, task 6 and 7 is added. In monitoring, controlling, task 6 and 7 is added. In closing, nothing has been added. So what are these tasks that have been added and you can expect questions from? So let us take each domain at a time and see what all tasks have been added. So first, initiating. So 3 tasks that have been added are task 2, 7 and 8. Task 2 have been added and it talks about identifying the key deliverables based on the business requirements so that customer expectations can be managed effectively and thereby achieve the project goals efficiently. Task 7 talks about benefit analysis. This is one major change that has been made in this new update. Benefit analysis has been, it is surveyed, it is found out that project managers are now involved early in the project where benefit analysis is done. And benefit analysis ensures that the project is aligned to the organizational strategy and deliver the expected business value. And another task that has been added in the initiating stage is the task aid, which talks about communicating the approved project charter and its content to the relevant stakeholders so as to ensure that there is continuous support of the project throughout its life cycle. So these 3 tasks have been added in initiating and you can expect questions on these 3 tasks. And these were areas which were never tested in any of the PMP exam till November 1st, 2015. In planning, one task have been added, and this task lays emphasis on developing a detailed stakeholder management plan. This is done to ensure effective management of stakeholders throughout the life cycle of the project. This is another added area of emphasis which has been done. Stakeholder has been given added emphasis in this new update. In executing, two tasks are added, task 6 and 7. Task 6 typically talks about managing the flow of information by following the communication management plan, thus ensuring that effective management of stakeholders throughout the project lifecycle. And task 7 talks about maintaining good relationship with the stakeholders to ensure continuous support. Again, if you see, the emphasis is on stakeholder management and engagement. Then in monitoring and controlling, two tasks have been added. Task 6, which talks about and has made more emphasis on lessons learned, its techniques, and applying the lessons learned for continuous improvement. And task 7 talks about monitoring the procurement activities so that compliance is ensured to meet project objectives. So these are the two tasks that have been added in monitoring controlling, and you see emphasis is on lessons learned and its application and monitoring the procurement activities. In closing, no tasks have been added. So these are the 8 new tasks that have been added, and yes, you will get questions on the new exam based on these tasks. So now you might be wondering that what exactly these changes mean to the PMP exam. Why some changes have been made, especially regards to the 8 new tasks. So let's revisit some of the key areas that why the task force team thought and industry leaders validated these changes are important. And some of the key changes, I would like to reiterate that these 4 mentioned on your screen are not the only changes that have been made. There are many more changes as discussed, like modification, addition of new tasks, removal of seen tasks. This is just taken as an example to show you where the emphasis of the new outline is on. And some of the key changes that have been made are, and which we'll discuss, is the emphasis on business strategy and business benefit, value of lessons learned, project charter responsibility, and enhancing stakeholder relationship. Let us see why these changes are done. A new area that has been added is associated with business benefits, business strategy, and benefit realization. This was not there in any of the exam outline earlier, or which we are using right now also. This area is included because many project managers are being pulled into the project earlier in the process and project than they have been in the past. They are involved in the project very early. The task added talks about the project manager involvement in the early stages of the project when actually benefit analysis is carried out. Other areas you'll find focus on benefits is throughout each of the domains where the project manager ensures that the project is focused on business benefits rather than generically on deliverables. So business strategy and benefit realization is an added topic in the exam outline. And mainly because project managers are now involved in the project very early when benefit analysis is done. Another topic with added emphasis is lessons learned. Yes, we have been using lessons learned, but yes, now the emphasis is more on in this exam outline. More emphasis is placed on lessons learned throughout the entire life cycle of the project, instead of solely focusing on lessons learned from other projects during project initiation and analysis of the current project lessons learned during closing. As PMI ensures that knowledge transfer is essential in effectively capturing and capitalizing on the value of project management, and documenting and utilizing lessons learned is essential to that. So it is basically you use lessons learned, you document, you utilize it throughout the project life cycle for continuous improvement. You continuously evolve, you become more and more effective throughout the project. That is why more emphasis is made on lessons learned rather than just emphasizing on lessons learned from the past project. Another change which has been made because of the ODS is the topic on project charter. It has been observed that the project manager is not solely responsible for creation of project charter. The common consensus is that it is the sponsor or the customer who is responsible creating and approving the project charter. And the PM is more of a contributor in its creation and communicating the content of it to other stakeholders. So the role of a project manager is more of a contributor. He should be involved early in the project so that he can contribute to the development of the project charter, to the creation of the project charter. But that is his not sole responsibility. Now, what does this mean? This does not mean that you will not get questions on project charter. There will be questions on development and creation of project charter, who creates it, what is the purpose of the project charter, why project charter is important, why it has to be signed off before proceeding ahead in the project, why it is called as one of the document which authorizes the existence of the project, and so on. So you will keep getting questions on project charter, but yes, focus has shifted as from the responsibility point of view. Stakeholder relationships and engagement in the project is another area of added emphasis in this update. Yes, we have been studying stakeholder management, how to engage stakeholders, how to manage them throughout the project lifecycle. And in the recent PMBOK edition, that is the PMBOK fifth edition, there is an additional knowledge area that is stakeholder management, which dedicatedly talks about how to identify, plan, engage, and control and manage the stakeholders throughout the life cycle. But yes, this recent study has put more emphasis on this. So you can expect more and more questions from stakeholder management in the future exams for after November 1st. Because why project managers are finding themselves in a role of building a two-way relationship with the stakeholders rather than what may have been viewed as more of a one-way communication. Throughout the PMP exam content outline, there is added emphasis placed on relationships and engagement that effectively happens when managing a project. So, stakeholder relationship, managing, engaging them throughout the life cycle of the project is a topic which has been given more and more emphasis. So, these are some of the major changes that have been made apart from many other changes. So, I reiterate some of the changes. One of the key topics, new topics, is on business benefit realization. Then you have more emphasis on lessons learned, more emphasis on stakeholder relationship, and the responsibility of creation, development of project charter, and what is the role of the project manager in the creation and development of the project charter. The, so these are some of the changes apart from the major changes. So, but what do these changes really mean? Now you may be wondering, so what do these changes do to the real PMP exam? Well, to put it in simpler terms, you can expect 25% of the questions in the exam from the new content topics, and which are mainly drawn from the 8 new added tasks. So, 3 tasks in initiating, 1 in planning, 2 in executing, and few in monitoring and controlling. So, all these new 8 added tasks will comprise of 25% of your PMP exam questions. So, 25% typically comes to 50 new questions which have never been tested on in any of the previous exams. These 8 topics have never been tested on any of the previous exam. So any exam that will be conducted after November 1st will have 25% of the questions from these new topics. So this is very, very important for people who are planning to give the exam after November 1st. Plus, as you have seen, weightage has shifted. So more questions from executing. Now executing will have around 31% of questions, which typically consists of 62 questions, and lesser questions from closing. Lesser doesn't mean that you'll ignore the closing stage. Yes, You have to study that process group as well. Now, as many things are changing, as many content outline have changed, many tasks have been added, many new knowledge skills have been updated, modified. One should also keep in mind what is not changing in the PMP exam or in the structure. So, what is not changing? One of the things is the eligibility requirements. Eligibility requirements still remains the same. For a person with a graduate degree, he or she should have 4,500 hours of experience in leading and directing projects. And a person with a diploma holder, he or she should have around 7,500 hours of experience in leading and directing projects. Apart from the education and the project management experience, one should also have 35 hours of formal project management education. So eligibility criteria for qualifying yourself for PMP exam does not change. It remains the same as it is now. Apart from this, the overall structure of the PMP exam also is not changing. In future exams that will happen after November 1st, you will get 200 questions. Out of those 200 questions, all will be multiple choice questions. All questions will have four options, and one option is the correct option. You have to select one correct option. All questions will have only one correct option. All the questions mostly will be scenario based, which gives uh, the person who is giving the exam a situation and a scenario, and what should be the best approach, best answer based on the scenario given. So overall structure of the exam also remains the same. The weightage distribution has been updated a bit in the executing and the closing areas. There is no negative marking in future also. At present also there is no negative marking for the exam. In future also there will be no negative marking. And out of these 200 questions, as you already know, that 25 questions are what we call pre-test questions, which will not carry any marks. But as a person who is giving the exam, you will not know which are those questions. So you'll have to attempt all those 200 questions. And PMI doesn't give any pass percentage that there are many blogs which claims about certain pass percentages which are not true. So I would always request no person should refer those pass percentages. How PMI judges the pass fail criteria is based on weightage. They give weightage to each domains: initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, controlling, and closing. And the weightage given is proficient, moderately proficient, and below proficient. So those things remains the same. Now, one question that you might be having in your mind is, how is an RDS update different from a PMBOK update? If you remember, PMBOK was updated in 2013 when the first fifth edition came. So how does this update differ from that? So, and how do they each impact the PMP exam? When will PMBOK get updated, or is PMBOK getting updated now? So to answer these questions, uh, I'll just run you through few key points which you should always remember before you go for the PMP exam. So let's talk about what is an RDS update first. An RDS leads to update of the PMP exam content outline. That is the blueprint. The exam content outline, as we already discussed, consists of the weightage distribution across domains, which consists of the tasks that you will be tested on across each domains, and the knowledge and skills that a project manager should have to perform his job successfully and effectively. These are the things that an exam outline contains of. So an RDS leads to an update of the exam content outline. Through RDS, weightage of the questions across domains change. As you see that executing has been increased and closing has been reduced. Through RDS, new topics will be added. Like you have seen, 8 new tasks have been added. Like benefit realization was not there in the earlier version of the PMP exam outline. So there were no questions on this topic. But now the new exam will have questions on this topic and simultaneously on all new topics added. like where more emphasis is on lessons learned, more emphasis is on stakeholder management and engagement, more emphasis is on documenting lessons learned and continuously improving learning from those lessons learned, the project charter responsibility. So these are few of the things that RDS update when these are the few things that gets updated when an RDS update happens. In contrast to RDS update, in a PMBOK update, typically the following gets updated. You might come across new terminologies, like if I talk about the new terminologies that were added in the fifth edition were like work performance data, work performance information, work performance reports. There were some new terminologies that have been added, like validate scope. Earlier in the earlier PMBOK edition, it was termed as verify scope. So some terminologies will be updated, modified. Some processes will be added. Like if I talk about compare it with the previous edition of PMBOK fourth edition, there were 42 processes. Now in the fifth edition, there are 47 processes. Plus there can be changes in the process groups, plus there can be changes in more processes in particular knowledge areas. And if you a new knowledge area also got added when PMBOK was modified from fourth to fifth. Stakeholder management is the new knowledge area that was added. So these are typical changes that happens when PMBOK gets updated. This update which is happening in the exam after November 1st is an RDS update. It is not a PMBOK update. PMBOK still remains the 5th edition PMBOK. So you might be wondering when is, you might have heard that PMBOK also is about to change. So PMBOK is about to change in 2000 as per PMI reports, as per PMI information. Maybe in the first quarter of 2017, PMBOK 6th edition will come. First quarter of 2017. So these are few changes. So I would suggest everybody to keep few things in mind while they plan for the exam on or before November 1st or after November 1st, is that if you are giving the exam before November 1st, on or before November 1st, you should refer to the exam outline which is dated as August 2011. If you are giving the exam after November 1st, 2015, you should refer to the outline which is dated as June 2015. Apart from that, few important things which you should keep in mind. Current exam which will follow the current exam outline is available till November 1st, 2015. Exam outline as said is dated as August 2011. So refer the exam content outline August 2011 if you're planning to give the exam on or before November 1st, 2015. Results you get immediately. This update will be applicable for all paper-based, computer-based exams. For the new PMP exam that will be available after November 1st, 2015. And the exam content outline for that is dated as June 2015. Again, it will be applicable for all language, in all languages, in all paper-based, computer-based, and yes, you immediately get the test results. So these are few things which you should keep in mind while going for the PMP exam. And I would suggest that yes, you should take the exam content outline printout or have a copy of the exam content outline. You can get it from PMI website, or you can get in touch with KnowledgeWoods also to ask for the detailed exam outline. So and you go through it and you have a detailed study of the thorough changes, the modifications, everything. You will also see it by your eye what all changes have been made. So I hope I have been able to give you a brief about an overview about all the changes that have been made in the exam content outline, what all will be the impact in the exam after November 1st onwards, what all new topics have been added, how they are going to impact, what percentage of questions you can expect to change in the exam. I hope I have been able to answer those queries. And if you have any questions, you can just type it in the question tab that you have on your screen, and I'll be happy to answer. And on the screen, you also have the email IDs mentioned. My email ID is mentioned. KnowledgeWoods email ID is mentioned. info@knowledgewoods.com. If you have any further questions related to training, related to changes, related to updates that are happening, you can definitely get in touch with us. And now I throw the session for questions. So, questions I have from first is from Mr. S. Prasad, where he says that where can I get the latest RDS document? Mr. Prasad, you can get the latest RDS document if you just log into PMI's website. You can get it there, or you can just get into Google and search. If you're looking for the latest, the updated RDS, the exam outline, you can just type in Google PMP exam content outline dated June 2015. You'll get the latest one, but make sure you read on the page where it is written June 2015. If you need the current one or the one that we are using, you can just search for PMP exam outline dated August 2011. I have another question from Kavita, uh, that which exam outline do I need to refer if I have to go for the exam before November 1st? As I said, before November 1st, you have to refer the exam content outline, which is dated as August 2011, which we are currently using, and we will keep on using it till the people who are giving the exam till November 1st. Another question is from Vandana. Do we get the results immediately after the exam in the current setup? Yes. In the current setup, in the future setup also, you get the result immediately on screen. As soon as you complete the exam, you you'll be asked to give a survey. You complete the survey, and then you get the result of your exam immediately. Then we have one question from Supriya Saxena. What are expected from project managers in practical terms? If I say it in one line, yes, project managers are expected to deliver the deliverables within scope, time, cost, and meet customer satisfaction and meet the specifications and quality requirements. That is the role of the project manager. So, as Prasad has a question, so you mean to say RDS is the same as exam content outline? RDS is not the same as exam content outline. RDS is a survey through which exam content outline gets updated. RDS is Role Delineation Study survey through which the exam content outline gets updated. So exam content outline is the output of this survey. Then Kavita has a question. As I am a senior Q engineer having 7 years experience, do not have lead experience. You do not have to have lead experience. You just have to be involved in project management activities, where you have been involved in planning, sometimes in execution, sometimes in monitoring, checking, and sometimes in managing stakeholders. So that is what project management experience requires. So eligibility, as I said, Kavita, is around 4,500 hours to 7,000. If you're a graduate holder, you would require only 4,500 hours, which is typically 3 years of experience being a part of the project management team, where you have worked with initiating, planning, some cases executing, monitoring, and closing. Rajiv Kumar has a question. How is my study from the PMBOK 5th edition going to be different from the new outline task? PMBOK 5th remains the same. PMBOK will remain the same. It's just that additional tasks have been added. So yes, you can get questions from certain topics like benefit realization, more questions on stakeholder management and engagement, more questions on lessons learned, which were not so prevalent in the current exams. And yes, benefit realization is a totally new topic which you were never tested on in any of the exam till now. Now, Supriya Saxena has said no, no from new ideas. Should the organizer start following these new tasks in their PMO? Yes, definitely, because the role, as I said at the beginning, the role of project manager is evolving day by day. The project management as a profession is evolving. So, yes, any organization who is following project management practice, any PMO which is following project management practice, has to evolve the way they are doing the job to ensure that they are up to date with the current standards. Kavita has a question, pass percentage. See, PMI doesn't claim any pass percentage. I always recommend that once you are preparing for PMP exam and you are attempting certain mock tests, you attempt certain simulation tests from various sources, you always try to keep it at 80% plus. So then you can say if you're consistently scoring 80% plus consistently, yes, you can pass. The probability of passing the PMP exam is quite high. But yes, PMI doesn't claim any pass percentage as such. Then we have a question uh, from Krishnamurti. Can we refer the PMBOK Guide 5th edition? Yes, PMBOK, as I said, PMBOK has not changed. PMBOK remains the same. Even if you take the exam before November 1st or after November 1st, PMBOK remains the same. Only the tasks in the domains have been added, updated, modified. PMBOK still remains the same. We'll keep on referring PMBOK 5th edition till 2017 first quarter until the 6th edition comes. So we'll keep on referring that. PMBOK is not changing. And yes, certain tasks have been added in the exam content outline. And exam content outline is the basis, is the blueprint on which your PMP exam is based. PMP exam is not totally based on PMBOK. There are various other sources of books, various other sources of study guides, materials on which PMP exam questions are based. PMBOK is not the only source. So PMBOK is not getting updated. PMBOK remains the same. So I hope I have been able to answer all the questions that have been listed. And if you have any questions, the email ID is on your screen. You can note it down and you can anytime. Uh, yes, Krishnamurti has another question. Do we have any link for the previous questions? Previous questions, if you attend any training from KnowledgeWoods, you would understand the current set of questions. But yes, KnowledgeWoods also is going to update their set of questions so that it gets aligned with the new exam outline. Supriya Saxena, by task you mean the roles of a PM knowledge area or domain, right? By tasks you mean the jobs. Yes, the jobs project manager has to perform in each of the domains. Like in initiating, one has to be involved in the identification of stakeholder, identification of benefits, analyzing the benefits. So all those tasks. A question from Kavita is project planning or preliminary investigation. PM managers meet stakeholders. So why the concept of a stakeholder management communication is big? It's the last domain. Stakeholder is not the last domain. It's just the last chapter in PMV. Okay, it is an activity which is done throughout. Now project. It's yes, the order is such that stakeholders is the last chapter in PMV. Okay, but that doesn't mean you do it at the last. You do it throughout. Then you have. Can you provide any, Krishnamurti, another question? Can you provide any such links here containing the sample question mostly asked in previous tests? That unfortunately, if you just get in touch with KnowledgeWoods and get their training, enroll in their training, they provide question banks from where you can get an entire database of questions. you can also they also provide training in e-learning mode, so you can get the questions from that source also. So for questions, I would suggest you to get in touch with KnowledgeWoods, and they would be the right source from where you can get all the questions. Yes, Kavita, you have a question, PMP, Prince 2 Practitioner ITL. Yes, any question related to that? PMP is a certification from PMI. Prince 2 is a certification now, which is Prince 2 is certification is currently owned by Exelos. ITIL is again an IT service management certification, which is owned by Exelos. So PMP and Prince 2 is more into project management. ITL is into service management. If you are into project management domain and you want to grow in the project management field, PMP is more recognized, so you should go for PMP. And future down the line, you can opt for Prince 2 also. None of the certifications, I would like to clarify, they are not very industry specific. They are not product based. They are talking about the best practices one has to apply when it comes to project management. ITIL is mainly about talking about the operations. Once the product or service or the project has been delivered, and one has to ensure that it is properly maintained and all those agreement levels are maintained, and you keep on constantly keep on constantly meeting the customer requirements demands. Which one do you suggest, Kavita? For that, I would suggest you drop your resume to KnowledgeWoods, and based on your profile and your career path which you want to select, we can suggest you the most appropriate certification. As of now, without looking at your profile, your current roles, responsibilities, and your career growth path, I unfortunately won't be able to suggest you. It won't be right also for me to suggest you any certification. So you can just send your resume to KnowledgeWoods, and they will review it and let you know what career path which should you should opt for. So yes, any what is the final another question? What is the final date to apply for the test before November? There is no final date. As sooner the better. Since the PMP exam is changing, there will be a rush in the exam centers. I would suggest if you plan to give for the if you want to give the exam before November 1st, do it as soon as possible. Exam centers are not in huge numbers in India, so yes, there will be rush, and whenever a change happens, r- rush is definitely there during the at the exam centers. So I would suggest if you have planned to go before November 1st, start as soon as possible and submit your application, get it approved, and get your exam ID and block the date. So yes, I have. I hope I have been able to answer all the questions. And any further questions you have the email ID. You can write it down, and we'll be happy to answer all of them. And yes, I before I end, I reiterate, make sure you refer to the exam outlines depending on the date on which you're giving the exam, and select the most appropriate date for you. So thank you everyone. Thanks for your time.